as everyone's talking about the challenges of remote work, you know, that's certainly something we're seeing even now as we settle into kind of the permanent normal, right? Because we have a workforce that's now used to this flexibility. There are challenges with having employees in different jurisdictions. And so if you have an employee in Atlanta and you're a Raleigh-based business, well, what laws apply to that Atlanta employee? Are you doing their tax withholdings correctly? If they've set up their own home workstation, what safeguards do you have in place to make sure they're not giving themselves an issue that will require a chiropractor in the future? Are they logging on to Starbucks public Wi-Fi and downloading all of your trade secrets where someone can steal them? I mean, that's certainly an ongoing challenge. Obviously, workplace safety was at the front of minds for a long time. I think a lot of employers got more comfortable than they probably wanted to be with that OSHA general duty clause. And, you know, as an employer, we have an obligation to provide a safe workplace, and that can mean different things under different circumstances. We are getting far fewer questions than we were a year or two ago about things like COVID vaccinations. That's not on people's radars, at least not to the extent that they're calling me about it. But I do think we're seeing that shift that everyone else has talked about from not just remote work, but maybe different dialogues around what employees are actually looking for from their employers. And, you know, from a legal risk standpoint, what we often find is that an employee who feels, who has buy-in to the workplace culture, feels seen, feels appreciated, is in turn not only less likely to leave, but less likely to find ways that they've been legally wronged. So I do think that this all folds in together. This is one big outgrowth of COVID, and it will be a long time before we see where the chips fall.
For our organization, it actually has helped retention because we moved from a straight face-to-face world to a remote world very quickly, and we saw the value in that. So a lot of our instructors now are teaching remote, they're teaching online classes. So a lot of those classes that were required face-to-face have changed gears to an online platform, and they've stayed there after the crisis has been over, and that has helped with retention. And those instructors and those professors have gotten the support from upper administration to do that, and that has helped with our retention.
Yeah, I don't think any of us were very practiced at this remote work environment. I think we all walked into it trying to figure it out. I think we're also all at the spot where we recognize that this is going to stay this way. Some amount of remote work is needed. I mean, if I turned off the pool of candidates for any position that I had and said, well, you know what, we're 100% in the office all the time, I would have a much smaller pool of people to draw from, and I couldn't run my business. So I need that pool of people. But I think remote work is the enemy of good culture. I think figuring out how you can continue to foster that culture, make people feel appreciated, recognized, wanted, and connected, that's what we're all trying to figure out. That's what I think people are trying to figure out these days.
2007, 2008, we went through the recession, right? And during that time, it was a massive migration to law enforcement, okay? Just people wanted to come, a stable job, a pension, maybe not the greatest pay, but you know you're gonna get a paycheck every 2 weeks. That has shifted. But what also back then happened, right, was the schools really, the colleges and universities got an influx because everybody was going back to school and getting their degrees. Mm-hmm. But to the point where everybody needs to have a degree. And I agree with you, not everybody has to have a degree. And quite frankly, if everybody does have a degree, it's really not going to benefit us as a country, right? So by getting the students that age, you know, what's scary is to listen to you guys talk, and the same thing with law enforcement. We are trying to reach children in the elementary schools. You know, things that happen now, when we were in school was high school, right? And then some weird stuff's happening in middle schools. But we're actually finding where the connection with the youngsters that young is important, because it also gives them, like you said, it gives them some kind of pathway. It gives them, a lot of kids don't know what they want to do growing up. I know you did early, but you know, but you know, most kids don't know. They're like, well, but you're giving them an idea. Hey, look at all these things that are open.
I think it starts with, you have to view talent now as a scarce resource.
Okay.
You think of, we've all been through, whether it's materials or whether it's whatever it is, when companies have some part of their process that becomes scarce, they'll move heaven and earth to solve it.
Yeah.
This is still, for a lot of people, seen as either, oh, it's a societal problem or it's an HR problem. And I think when more companies view our talent it's now scarce, it requires the entire leadership team to be doing all these types of things we talked about. That's where they got, that's the solution. Once you get that mindset shift, you'll then do what needs to be done to make it, whatever it is. I run across so many companies though that
They don't
nope,
realize that.
we've got the jobs, by gosh, and you know, they'll come to us and they're struggling.
I'd say expand the pool. I think we have to change the definition of, you know, who is a potential good employee and who's trainable. I think in many cases, the bar is so high for kids to get into school that they're kids that have the right attitude and aptitude who can't get into a program. And what we're seeing is, you know, those folks that have high attitude, high aptitude, may not have high academic scores, are the ones that get into the workforce and just crush it. So I think it's expanding the pool, changing the definition of who we're looking for. I think, you know, definitely makes an impact on the pipeline opportunity.